Hello everyone and welcome. This is the fourth video of our series of 8 where we ignite global faculty members explore each of team coaching competency, and our intention is to help coaches better understand what distinguishes team coaching from individual coaching and what these competencies look like in practice. And today we're gonna focus on the competency 4, cultivating trust and safety. But before we begin, I would love to introduce my colleagues who will be joining me today in this conversation. It's Michelle and Antana. So would you like to introduce yourself, Michelle?
Hello again, Aida, and lovely to be here on another video. I am a life and workplace coach and also a team coach. I'm very happy to be here and passing over to my other colleague, Antanas.
Hello, everybody. So, hello, Aida. Hello, Michelle. Hello, everybody who is listening. So, I am Antanas, business coach from Lithuania and organizational and development specialist. So, happy to be here.
Very welcome, colleagues. And I think it would be fair also to introduce myself. I am Aida. I'm integrated growth coach, ICF accredited PCC coach, focusing on individual and collective development. So to begin with, I invite us to begin with the definition of the competency 4, cultivates trust and safety. It is defined as partners with the client to create a safe and supportive environment that allows the client to share freely and maintains a relationship of mutual respect and trust. So in individual coaching, this means that basically is often understood as the quality of the relationship between coach and the client. But in team coaching, it is much more layered because of the complexity of the team, that it's not an individual client. And the purpose here is not to build a trust between coach and every team member. The deeper purpose in team coaching is that team members gradually learn to feel safe with one another. So starting with the sub-competencies in this particular competency, we have 6 behavioral indicators that must be demonstrated. I will go shortly through them. It's seeking to understand the client within their context, demonstrating respect for the client's identity and perception and style and language, acknowledging and respecting the client's unique talents, insights, showing support, empathy, and concern, acknowledging and supporting the client's expression of feelings, perceptions, concerns, beliefs, and suggestions, and demonstrating openness and transparency to build trust. So these 6 behaviors remain equally important in team coaching. However, team coaching introduces 7 additional competency elements that reflect the complexity of working with a team as the client rather than an individual. So today we are going to explore these 7 additions, and I would love to invite my colleagues. Antanas, would you please guide us through the first 2 elements?
Thank you, Aida. So, love that gradually learn. So, let's learn gradually, okay? So, the first thing which you named is create and maintain a safe space. And for me, is where team coaching either works or quietly fails. A safe space is not a comfortable space. It's a space where people can disagree out loud, raise the sensitive topic, and name what is really going on without any fear. If a team is only polite, that's not safety. And hope you agree with me. That is avoidance wearing nice suit. And the team that has this kind of culture, changing the organizational culture. So part of my job in this part is to make it safe to surface what the team usually keeps under the table. The unspoken words is almost always where the real, conflict is hiding. So I will have an example. I was working with a leadership team where everything looked very polite on the surface. People were answering the questions, nodding, agreeing, but I could sense there was something important in the room that has not been named. So I paused and said something like, I noticed there is a lot of care. You are not saying something, what is hidden, what is not named. And there was a silence first, and silence in a team coaching is often not empty, it's information. And after a moment, one person said, I think we're afraid to say that we do not fully trust each other, especially with ownership. And this sentence actually changed the room. That was safety. That's what happened. So that's the first thing. I don't know, Michelle, Aida, do you have something to add to the create and maintain safe space?
I'm in agreement. Yeah, absolutely. I love that definition of what is safety. So absolutely agreeing.
Okay. And then we go to the second, promote the team as a single entity. That's really interesting. The second one is a real shift for coaches. When you're coming from one to one, it's different. In team coaching, the client is the team as a one entity, not the individual, not the leader. So I'm consistently helping the team see itself as a one unit with a shared identity. Not these 6 or 7 people who, happen to sit together. It's a one team. As well, let me give you a small real example. How to slow and how to concrete this in the team coaching environment. In one session, I simply pointed out that the team so many times were telling more I and really rarely were saying we, just naming it. And the next time we met, they were already saying we. And then it's one of the step. And then when they moved to the we, then it was okay. There were we and there were they. They were like management on another side. And then we are like gradually we're learning how to name we for the whole organization. So that's kind of examples of the working with the team as a single entity. And over to you, Michelle, to cover the next two things.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well said, Antanas. Thank you very much. So I'm now going on to the third point, and that is, I'm just going to read it. That's fosters expression of individual team members and the collective team members' feelings, perceptions, concerns, beliefs, hopes, and suggestions. So this is an interesting one because obviously we are to always look at as the team as one, as the collective. But here it is saying about it's also important the individual. But the individual is important because that is then raising awareness of the team, and then they were understanding, what they need to do forward to take them forward. So it's always remembering that the team's first, but part of the team is the individual. So it's important that we understand, what everybody's opinions are, what they're thinking. And it also leads into the next point, which is about encouraging participation and contribution by all team members. So that ties in as well with this, because that's the idea is we need to hear what the individual thinks. Often you can get the situation where you've got the dominant person or the dominant people, but this is really emphasizing that we need to understand the outliers, the minority voice, so that we get a true picture of what maybe is holding the team back. And then when the team has that knowledge, then they can move forward as a collective. So that's important. But what it also says in this particular point is about understanding the collective beliefs and perceptions and concerns. So there's some very interesting ways that you can do that in terms of being creative. So I particularly like the one where you might do a check-in and say, team, can you make a noise that represents how you're feeling, or a color, or show me an object, or doesn't matter, it depends how creative you're being. Or maybe you have a physical barometer and you ask them to stand at a point, we don't understand, or we're not happy, and 10 is the opposite, and then you get them to stand at different points. 1, we don't understand, or we're not happy, and 10 is the opposite, and then you get them to stand at different points. So these are all fun ways of checking in to the team to see, because you can say, yes, we're all in agreement. But when you dig a little bit deeper into, well, what does that sound mean about what we're talking about? Or if we look at this barometer, there's a couple of people who are a 1 position where everybody else is a 9. So what is this telling us about? Is there a different perspective here? So I hope that sort of explains, how we can get the individual, but also importantly, we need to check into the collective, and there's different ways that we can do that. Ultimately, all this is contributing to the team perception and what is needed for the team to be that high performing unit and engaged. So I think, anybody else got anything to add? I think that sort of covers,
Yeah, Michelle, I love the example about the feeling, and I love the question about, this, what is the collective team feeling? Yeah, you agree? Like, what is the team feeling? Yeah, love that.
And it's really important to do that.
Yeah.
Because And again, it's data, isn't it? So it's telling us actually everybody sounded very positive, but there was a noise that wasn't. What's that telling us? What's that about? So that's great. And then, as I said, this can also help with encouraging participants and getting all team members. So we want to check in. And I was thinking about this point, and you have to remember that people learn in different ways. They show up in a room in different ways. So some people are happy to talk, but this is also about you knowing your team and having a safe space. And so I was in a situation where certain people weren't talking. It was online, which is a different dynamic to physical, and they weren't talking. So what I actually got them to do was I got them to write down, because remember, not everybody's happy to talk. So in one instant, I said, can you write down your ideas? There was another time where the group, it was not a safe group. They did not feel safe. So we did do it anonymously. But again, that's something to talk about with your team lead. You know, is it something where they need to do some facilitation on team dynamics or psychological safety? Because remember, as a team coach, you can often use other modalities as well, which is talked about in other competencies. So it's really understanding, how can I as a facilitator contribute to a safer space, or what is it that we need to do so that the team feels safe? So again, checking into, how can I make this a space where everybody feels safe? And in the instances where people weren't talking, I used that as an opportunity for learning, because I said to them, so what is this telling us about how the team shows up? What is this data telling when actually people don't want to contribute? So, all these experiences are ways of learning about the team and getting them to have that awareness and think about, so what is it we need to do? What is it that's missing so that we do feel safe and we do all contribute? So I think that's a very important point. And I'll just go on to the next point unless anybody has anything to say. But looks like no one does. So the final point is partnering with the team to develop, maintain, and reflect on team norms and rules. Now, an important point to raise here is, it's not your expectations and your rules, it is the team. So you're asking the team at the beginning, what I call it, ways of working, what do we need to have in place? So they can come up with rules. Again, be playful. Maybe they can do charades and act out the rules in the negative, and the team can guess what the rules are. We don't have to be conventional in how we do it. But again, at the very beginning, when you're setting up the agreements, you establish those norms and rules, which is fine. But sometimes in the moment, you need to create new rules. You do not know how the conversation is going to develop. So it may be that you, as the team coach, something happens, that domineering person is talking on behalf of someone else and saying, well, Ida can do this. So maybe then as a team coach, that's where you need to step in and say, hold on a minute, Aida can talk for herself. And then thinking about, all right, so do we need to create a norm? Do we need to create a rule around this? So the rules are also organic as well. And also remember, we're doing about ownership. So it's not your responsibility as the team coach to be checking in and make sure that everybody's doing it. Send it over to them, let them ownership. Appoint someone in the group to be, and rotate it. This is just an example where someone can be the rule keeper, the gatekeeper. So they step in and say, oh, hold on a minute, that's not in the agreement, or whatever. So remember, we're constantly thinking about, how can we empower the team? We want the team to be a unit, and we want them to be self-sustaining when we leave them. So getting them to be the master of the rule keeper is a great way to empower them. So I will stop there. We've just got a short video, and of course we could talk a long time about these things, but I think it gives an overview of those points. And Aida, over to you.
Oh, great. Thank you, Michelle. I love your creativity with how you engage with the team. And together with Antanas, you've already covered a lot of aspects because these elements are interconnected somehow. They resemble each and every one of them. They are not separated. I would love to add. And there are two more left. So I will go on with add-on 6. I will read it. It promotes effective communication within a team. This is what I meant by saying that you covered some aspects of communication within a team, with both of you, with your examples. And I would love to add here that distinct distinction in team coaching is that communication should increasingly move within the team, not through the coach. So this is the main distinction. Because what happens at the beginning in team coaching engagement, colleagues, you probably know, many team members speak directly to the coach. They answer to the coach, they look to the coach, or they wait for the coach to manage the process. But the aim for a team coach is to strengthen, to enhance team autonomy. And so this means that the coach should gradually help and redirect communication back to the team. Talking about the examples, you already mentioned some great ones, and I will go with very popular, very common example of where you also probably have met it in your practice, where everyone is silent during the meeting, and after the meeting, they start sharing their thoughts in the hallway, for example. And the coach can mention this, notice that the communication, there is not enough safety or trust, and the communication is hidden somewhere near the coffee machine. And name it. What does it tell us as for us? What does it speak about us as a team? Or even the other question: what cost for a team it has? For us as a team, it has that we are not naming it directly for each other and talking outside the meeting. And of course, what you already mentioned, these aspects when team members they love to say, "No one is listening," or "John is always doing that." So our role as a coach is helping team members feel safe and learn how to speak directly, aim it towards the team member, towards a leader among them, and not use a coach as a mediator. So ultimately, the goal is that communication flow naturally within the team itself. So this is the main aspect of add-on 6, and we have the final addition in this competency is add-on 7, partners with the team to identify and resolve internal conflict. Well, this is essential. This is a real great ending of these elements, as conflicts are real treasure for the team, and it's absolutely not a failure of trust, because avoided conflict often is a sign that trust is not strong yet, or it has gone underground. So healthy conflicts deepen trust when they are handled respectfully. Also, if we take real examples from real practice, we may remember or recall that sometimes we face such situations where team members repeatedly disagree, but they do it indirectly or use sarcasm or silence or side comments, and their team coach might say, "I name it. I notice that difference. I notice what occurs, but it might be not fully named in the room. So what would be useful for us as a team? Or should we slow down to understand it? Or how does the team usually respond and acts when disagreement appears?" So we as a coach turn the conflict into data, into material, as it is very important for us to help a team to show how conflict arises, bring that awareness, what it represents, and how to address it constructively. So this might be the main point I wanted to say about conflict. I'd be glad if you have to add something on in regard of conflicts in the team, and how are you feeling there?
I'll just add, I love the word conflicting harmoniously.
Thank you, Michelle. That was also in the back of my thought, that we enhance maturity of team by helping the team address harmoniously and constructively the conflict. So this is basically we covered all these 7 additional elements in team coaching, but also I would love to remind that those 6 of individual team coaching still applies. So this is a complex approach in team coaching. And ultimate goal here in this particular competency for Cultivates safe and trust and safety is to help coach to create such an environment for the team that the team could communicate openly, address difficult issues freely and directly, and work through the conflict in service for their shared purpose. So when teams do so, I believe that trust and safety become part of team's culture, and there is no rather than something that coach is temporarily providing. So thank you for joining us, and we hope this discussion has helped to clarify the competency 4, and we also invite you to explore the rest of our series where Ignite Global faculty unpacks each team coaching competency one by one. So together they provide a comprehensive understanding of what effective team coaching looks like in practice. And thank you for watching once again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Yeah, and in the video, and maybe furthermore, meet in person in the Ignite Global experience.
That's a great invite. Yeah, indeed.
Put it out there, yes. So we look forward to seeing each and every one of you on the course.
See you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.